Welcome to Moments with Marianne. Allow me to interrupt your train of thought with something that may be one of the most interesting things you hear today. This is Marianne-pestana, and our special guest today is Agapi Stassinopoulos, and she's here to share with us her new book, Speaking with Spirit, 52 Prayers to Guide, Inspire, and Uplift You. So many of you know Agapi. She's a best-selling author and speaker who inspires audiences around the world. She was trained in London at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts and received her master's degree in psychology from the University of Santa Monica. So let's welcome to the show, Agapi Stassinopoulos.
Thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you for having me. And thank you for all the wonderful work you do to bring awareness to people and information. I love your show, and I'm grateful to be in it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's such an honor to have you here and to talk about this new book. I'm so excited about this. I heard it just released this week.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got to ask you, what inspired you to write this book?
You know, I wanted to write a book about prayer, but I really didn't know what do you put in a book about prayer. And prayer for me has been part of my spiritual path. I embarked on my spiritual path with my spiritual teacher that I talk about in the book called John Roger, based in Los Angeles. He passed away, but the teachings are very much alive. And in the practice of our seminars and retreats and our daily practice, there was an evocation of what we call the light. And it was a practice that really gave me tremendous awareness of how the light, the inner light, is always with us. But as we evoke it and name it, it comes present to shift the lower levels of consciousness, the more of the material, emotional, mental, physical world, into the more of the spirit world, which can be very, very alive and present in our everyday life, but we have to call it forward. So I'll give you an example what that looks like. Let's say you're about to wake up, and you're waking up, and you're in between sleep and waking, and you know that transition, and you want to go get your coffee, and the day kind of floods you over, and oh my God, I have to do this, and you can start getting overwhelmed or anxious about all the things you have to do or the news of the day. So you take a moment and you center, and you can just say, I ask for the light of the Spirit, and take a deep breath, to be with me, to protect me, fill me and surround me. And I ask right now that any disturbance, any anxiety, fears, concerns that I have be released into the light, and that I can walk through my day feeling centered and connected. Let's say, let's say these are kind of words you would use. I do it loud because I think our voice carries a healing vibration, and when we speak it, it wakes us up to a higher frequency in our consciousness. So that practice, Marianne, became very much part of my life. So, for example, when I would go for an audition, or when I would be going to a meeting, or let's say visit a friend maybe at a hospital who was sick, or anything in your life that engages you and you need more support, I would either call a friend and say, send me the light. I'm about to do this. Let's put so-and-so in the light. Or a woman, remember, calling me and saying, I'm about to go see my boss and ask him for a raise. Or a mother would call me and say, my child is having a very hard time at school. And I say, well, let's call in the light. So that was my form of prayer. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I'm so glad you explained that to us, because I think a lot of times when people think of prayer, there's a lot of different thoughts that come up. And so people may say, oh, I don't know how to pray. And I love how you brought that together as, it's just this connection that we have to the light.
Exactly. And again, in the book, in the preface, I say, don't let the word God limit you, because God, G-O-D, is 3 letters to describe the invisible, the unknown, the absolute miracle of the universe that is going on all around us and inside of us and around us, and the mysteries of the universe that we really don't know. But let's say that to me they come all through the realm of the universal consciousness, of the higher consciousness of what we call God. So when I say God, I'm referring to a transcendent power beyond what words can possibly describe. Connect to that spiritual, cosmic, larger than life presence in whatever way resonates with you. Before his events, the point Mark Nepo asks his audience if they believe in something larger than themselves. 99% of people raise their hands. I guess then, he says, we are all mystics. So whatever, I want to address the listeners now and say whatever word you want to use, whether it is God, the light, spirit, the I am, the higher self, the divine intelligence, the one, it doesn't really matter. Find what connects you, the universal peace, the universal love. But know that this energy lives with you as your very own breath that gives you life. So right now, if I ask you to take a breath, and I also ask you to not take the breath, but to receive the breath, because really we do not take our breath. Our breath is freely given. If you've seen a birth, I haven't had children, but I was present in the birth of my 2 nieces, and the first thing they do, they take the breath. The breath comes in and life comes in. And I saw both my parents pass, my father and my mother. My father was in Greece, and 3.5 months later, my mother passed in Los Angeles. I was there for both their passing, the dying, and the last thing is they take and they're gone. So that to me in itself, Marianne, is the absolute miracle of who we are. Beyond that, what happens is we then have our personalities and our stories and our histories and the way we operate and our doings and our wantings and our lives that consist of so many emotions and thoughts and disappointments, the gamut, right? And then, as you said, you're taking care of your aunt. We take care of people who are older than us. Then we have all the relationships issues we go through, the financial issues, and we have the planetary issues that we are all inundated about every day. So to find that heart, that connection, and I say the heart because when you are anchored in your heart, it is vulnerable, it is it's the love that you feel in your heart. And right now, if I ask you to think of a person that awakens your love, and I really hope that that person who awakens your love could also include you, because your children might awaken your love, or your parents, or your best friend, or it could be your husband or your wife. But in the course of our lives, we forget to include ourselves. We forget that the greatest love of all is to learn to open up your heart to yourself. And to me, ultimately, prayer is an opening of your heart to yourself, to your vulnerable human self, and connecting it to your high self, to your wisdom, to your soul. Our souls, connected to our breath, to our heartbeat, are present right now. However, we do not feel them, touch them, see them. Therefore, it's very easy to lose our focus, and lose our focus by constantly focusing on this material world. So whatever practice you have, okay, you might be meditating, you might be walking in nature, you might be doing yoga, you might be praying, you might go to a temple or a church, or you might be in a singing choir, or what is your practice that awakens you to the deeper, kinder, more tender spiritual aspect of you? That is my question to you. I embraced prayer because I found, as I mentioned at the beginning of our talk, that in the evocation of the moment, not waiting on my Sunday best, at special occasions, like when you're on a flight and there is turbulence and you say, "Oh my God, please help me land," or when you hear, news that are upsetting you. We wait to talk to God or to ask for help on our crisis. And I encourage you to bring God, and again, I use the word, but translate it the way you would like to, because God is a loaded word. Access it the way you want to. You have a direct access. And I say, it is the in Wi-Fi. You are like a vibration, a channel. Learn to tune it in. And through the prayer, and the prayer could be from one word to a page or 2 pages, or you can write it down. I mean, my prayers are long and they go into depth, and I will read you one of them afterwards, because I feel words have power. Take a pen and keep a journal by your side with your name on it. I have a journal called Agapi's Prayers, and write down anything. But as adults, we start to feel silly and self-conscious. Oh, people say to me, "I don't know who to pray to." Marianne, do you hear that from people?
I hear that a lot, and I think people really get hung up on what prayer means. Like
Exactly.
they don't understand, like it's like a dialogue, but I love how you talk about it in your book.
I wanted to make it so accessible. When you're a child, if you tell a child, let's pray, and they start to say anything to God. "Oh God, please bring me my toy. Please don't let my bigger brother take my toy." It doesn't matter. They just make it up. And children have this innocence and this connection to God, and it's so sweet. And if I ask you right now, and I want to ask you, Marianne, when you were a little girl, do you remember a time that you knew that God existed and that you were part of God and that you had a connection to it? Do you remember a time by any chance?
I sure do. And it was when I was pretty young. And it's interesting. I had this really powerful connection. And it's something that stuck with me my entire life. And it's interesting. Like, I know some people have that and some don't, but for me, it was a very powerful experience.
Like, what was it specifically? That you felt? How old were you?
I probably was 6 at the time.
And you were,
yeah, I could just feel that I had that direct communication. It was a knowing, and it was very interesting how that came about.
You mean through connecting with others, or you just knew it while you were doing?
It was actually at night when I was praying, and it was just my direct connection with, the universe, spirit, Father, however people would like to identify, the God of our understanding.
Oh, well, that's so beautiful. And if I ask everybody right now who is listening to, do you remember a time? And obviously, we can't hear from you, but please, I'm going to give out my email to people. Let me know in your email, Agapi at unbindingtheheart.com, the experience you had, because I'm collecting these experiences from people. And one man said to me, "I remember sitting on the port and watching in our hometown, watching the ships go in and out and feeling the breeze. And I remember wearing my father's anorak, and felt so protected. And I felt God then. That's, I felt the presence. So it doesn't matter what it was. I mean, I felt it at night because I was hurting a lot. My parents had separated and I was in a lot of pain emotionally. And I was 12. And I remember feeling this teen hand caressing me at night because I would ask for help. But again, you just know. You just know. And so what we want in our lives more than anything is connection. To go through your life feeling disconnected, lonely, separate. I have a poem that I really love. I might actually even read it now because I have really dealt with loneliness in my life. I'm an incredible extrovert. And so I'm a Greek extrovert. I love to gather with people and smooze and hug them and talk and party. And I'm a very vibrant human being. And that's why the pandemic for me was very, very hard and continues to be hard. And I wrote this book in my home in Los Angeles when the pandemic was happening. We were in lockdown. We couldn't see anybody. We couldn't interact with people. I couldn't go to the supermarket. You know the drill, right? We were all so protected. And I had to write this book. And I have to tell you, it was the most extraordinary thing because out of my discomfort and my unhappiness, I would just go for walks and dictate my book, dictate it on my iPhone, dictate it to a person that was I would call them. I had hired a girl and tell her the stories. I dictate and speak my books rather than write them because I'm, raised as an actress. I studied acting, so I'm much more of an orator than a writer in the computer. And that's how my brain connects. And then I would print it and edit it. And these prayers were just given to me in a moment. I mean, I would just say, what about when you have a breakup? What about when you're broke? What about when you're feeling bereft? What about when you're judging the hell out of your partner? There are like hundreds of subjects in the book, as you know, resetting your balance, having the freedom to choose how you react, reframing failure to your advantage, finding the wisdom in your disappointment. You can kick the worry habit. Yes, when you shut others out, you shut yourself down. Breaking up, a divine opportunity to upgrade yourself. So there were so many, living with a sense of timelessness, on and on. I mean, there are 52 chapters, and in it you can find anything. But my loneliness was a kind of a disconnect from Agapi. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that it's such a interesting thing because there's so many people that feel the same way. I mean, I feel it too. There's a lot of people out there that feel that huge disconnect. And I felt that you've got the prayers that talk about worry and talk about different things that can help people kind of realign themselves in that moment.
Exactly. Like I remember I was one day in Greece overlooking the Mediterranean, the Aegean, with this incredible breeze, and it was kind of midday and the sun was shining, and I had a sense, just being in Greece like that I was coming home. And I wrote this poem. I want to read it to our readers, to our listeners. It's on page 108 of my book, and it's called, I used to be so lonely at my house, lonely when I got back to sleep, lonely when I was alone. When I was with people, I was never lonely. But when by myself, loneliness would hit my home. And then one day I heard a voice. Why don't you move in? I live alone too. You would like it here. Move in with me. I looked around and it was me talking to me. My house was empty. Wow, I said. I left that beautiful place a long time ago, going out looking for others to fill my home and left my house empty. Move in with me. You would like it here. You'll never have to pay rent. I'll never evict you. You'll be my honored guest. I know you. your likes, your dislikes, your little quintessential idiosyncrasies. I know you. I'll treat you nice and kind and give you lots of space. Move in, come. Move in with me. I looked into my eyes, my heart, and saw the love for me. I surrendered. I opened the door and moved into my empty house that I had left a long time ago. It was exactly as I left it. It had just missed me. I moved in and never left, and never felt alone anymore, for my house filled with love once I accepted such a kind invitation.
I love that.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is. And, it really invites, people to really get connected with themselves because, during this time especially the time we're going through, we have ourselves to spend time with and to deal with and to decide if we're going to like or not like. But It's really time to get in love with ourselves.
Exactly. And first of all, you start, I think, here's the first key to really loving yourself. You have to forgive yourself for what you think you should be or feel or do or have. Because most of us have, and in my Wake Up to the Joy of You, my book before, I have a chapter I love. It's called Enough of Not Feeling Enough, And I think we all have this thing that we're not enough or that we are less and that we don't have a right to our feelings. And, we are feeling people. We get upset, we get sad, we get sorrowful, we get worried. All that's the gamut of the human self. So when I say move in with yourself, move in with all of it, and forgive all the parts that are feeling like that. And then out of the forgiveness of judging yourself, you can go and say, listen, I need to really be there for me and talk to you and talk to the higher self in you and talk to the soul in you and say, Spirit, what do you have to say to me? Write it down. Spirit says to me. And then I sometimes use two pens. One is to blue pen to say Spirit says to me and a red pen to say what Spirit's saying to me. And then people say to me, well, how do I know it's Spirit speaking? How do I trust it? And I say, practice, practice, practice. You will know. But don't you know? Marianne, our intuition guides us all the time, but we doubt it, we shut it down, and we second guess it.
Yeah. And, and it's what I felt from your book is like, we know that so intuitively. It's something that, a lot of people talk about gut feelings. You get this like, inner guidance that says, yes, this is what you should be doing, or no, you shouldn't,
Yes. And the shoulds, and the pressure, right? The pressure we put on ourselves. I used to do a workshop that I loved, and it was a workshop about the Greek archetypes, the 7 goddesses, because I wrote books about the Greek goddesses. And at every workshop, I had people write a love letter a thank you letter, not a love letter. Thank you for all you're doing for me. It was like a Dear Agapi letter, a Dear Marianne letter. And then we would take the letters and post them. And then like a week later, or 2 weeks later, people would receive a letter from themselves. Everybody cried.
I bet they did, because it's probably something they've never even done before or even considered. And gosh, what a great opportunity that is.
Well, nobody teaches us at school or at college or at university or in life to really love and accept ourselves. You don't see that in the curriculum, right? And you don't see how do you connect with Spirit. Then you have to go about your life rediscovering it for yourself. You have to go about your life saying, okay, and then people go into retreats and they go into seminars and they go into travel and looking for themselves. And you can sit in your living room on your couch, you can close your eyes and you can say, dear beloved, I don't really know where you are and if you exist. But this Greek girl Agapi told me that you do. So I am going to take her word, and I'm going to sit here till you knock on my door, my inner door, and listen. And I'm going to spend exactly 10 minutes, no more. But I give you 10 minutes. Can you show me a little bit of who you are inside of me? And then you shut up and you just be quiet. And you get very still. And the thoughts come and go. And, oh, I have to do this, and I didn't do the laundry, and I have to go to the market. And you just let them go. And you come present in your heart. And like a wind, like a breeze, you will feel the presence. You know, it doesn't come with thunder and lightning. It's like very soft, very tender. And then you say, all right, anything you would like to communicate to me? And you listen. That's the prayer. And, you know, you might hear, you are now having a hard time. I can see, I understand, I love you. Let's walk together. Because if you're having a hard time, you know, you're having a hard time. It's like being validated for that. And right now, you would like more of that. Let's say, you know, let's see how we can help you. And then the support comes. You know, we have invisible guides. We have spiritual guides. So you start to little by little open up those words, those worlds. And then, you know, you read books that inspire you. You listen to music. Listen to music that makes you dance and be happy. And then you go back to your forgiveness, and then you go back to how you feel. So, you know, it's a dance. You incorporate the different levels of you. But that, my friends, is the journey of getting to know you, the higher power in you, getting to dance with the beloved inside of you, getting to really have an understanding of what this life is all about. I read every night. I read Rumi, Hafiz, Kabir, the mystic poets, Walt Whitman, Thoreau. I mean, the masters, you know, Emerson, Shakespeare. I mean, you name it. William Blake. And they're just St. Augustine. Read the masters, their stories. And you get so inspired. You know, how people really, everybody walked the path, you know, Marianne?
Yeah, there's so much to be gained by just listening to other people's stories and reading their stories. You know, I found it so empowering. One of the things you wrote in your book really struck a chord with me. And I really love this. You talk about how God is not a being, but instead a state of being that anyone can access.
Exactly.
And I love how you bring that together. I'd love for you to expand on that.
Well, again, you know, God is not a big blur in the sky. It's really a state of consciousness, a higher consciousness that's available. And my spiritual teacher used to say, heaven is not a location, it's a vibration. And we can all get into that vibration. We can all, if you know, it's like an instrument. You know, you have to tune it in. You have to quieten the parts of you that are grabbing you for attention. You have to quieten the mind, quieten the emotions, settle the body, and go into the higher frequency. And the higher frequency, like I tell you, a mantra I chant a lot. I love to chant loud. You know, you can do peace, you can do love, you can do serenity. Words have power, okay? I do the mantra HU, HU. And if you ever go to a mountain top or somewhere higher that you're not in the hustle and the bustle of the city, and you go higher up, you will start to feel this higher vibration, you know, and it's like a humming. And I do the HU, HU, which in Sanskrit means God. And it goes like this. It's like a flute, you know? And you can do it with me right now, our listeners. You can actually do it. Marianne, going to do it with me?
I'm going to do it with you. You bet.
Take a deep breath. Come present in your heart. You can put your right hand in your heart. And then we go, you. And you know where your third eye is between the two eyebrows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you start to feel the gateway opening in your third eye. And you start to feel the light coming in. I actually do the practice 5 hues, 5 breaths, 5 hues, 5 breaths, 3 5 hues, 3 5 breaths. It's 15 minutes. And before you know it, you are lifted. Okay? I highly recommend that. I highly recommend it as a practice. You call in the light. You can call in loud. You can start chanting the hue. My spiritual group that I study with is called Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness, msia.org. And if anybody's interested, you can actually go there and find hundreds of tapes on meditation and seminars. And this is my path, and this is a path that opened me up to my soul, to the light, so that I felt the light and I knew the light. And that's why I can speak with such confidence and authority about these things, because I know them. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I've seen the power of prayer. You asked me how I wrote the book. I remember my friend came and said to me, I've just finished my book. It's published. It was called, it was about health and how to find your optimum health. And she said, I hope it does well and people buy it. You know, when you have a book, you want it to do well. And I said, well, let's pray about it. And we put our hands on the book and started to pray. And we asked for the light of God to come and fill the pages, charge the pages so that the book can go out and people can find it and as they need it, and that she won't have any pressure about it, you know? And we felt this blessing that came, and that's exactly the moment. That was like 4 years later, exactly the moment that I felt I need to write a book about the power of prayer. Because, my friends, you can pray for others, they can pray for you. We are healers. We've got it. If you're breathing, you can pray. If you're praying, you can meditate. If you're meditating, you can assist someone else to be lifted. So when somebody starts to tell you that they're having a hard time or they are complaining about something, you just say, let us pray. Let us pray right now and bring in the higher consciousness. What is to me amazing is that it shifts your day, it shifts your energy. But if you disconnect from that and others, then you start to feel the insecurities, you start to feel paralyzed, you start to feel less than, you start to feel separate, and it's not fun, okay? So you can stop exactly where you are in the moment and pray and call forward the presence here and now. And it's astounding how the quality of your day can completely shift if you're willing to ask for whatever it is you want more of. And a wonderful woman wrote me this note, and she said, I don't ask, for God to give me, let's say, these things, like I want a better job. I ask God to give me the wisdom to know where to go for a better job, to give me the discernment to find the love that I want. So let's say if you want to cross the river and you don't see anything and you say, well, how am I going to cross this river? You can say, God, help me cross the river. Or you can say, God, help me see the abundance of opportunities that exist to cross the river. God, help me see how there is support around me to help me cross the river. So let's say you pray like that, and the next thing, somebody comes on a boat, says, you want to cross the river? Hop into my boat. You know?
You can feel it shift the energy from one
Exactly.
viewpoint to another. It shifts
Exactly.
dramatically.
Exactly. Show me. This is where I think we need to become uh, wise, and we need to become creative with our prayers. You know, if you're having disagreement with a friend, okay, and your friend did something that you didn't like, you can pout, you can say, "Oh, they're horrible, they're terrible." You can say, "God, help me find my balance, my peace. Help me have compassion for this person, and also know how I can take care of myself, protect myself, and help me not shut off my heart." My friends, if there is one message that I can pass on to you today with my wonderful, beautiful being, Marianne, who shares so much wisdom, is please don't ever shut off your heart to anyone or anything, or especially yourself. That hurts. Doing life with your heart closed is very painful. Open your heart constantly by compassion, by the tenderness that lives in you, and allow it to be present and to be really evoke it, and forgive it, forgive the judgment, so that your heart can be free. Once your heart is open, you'll feel the light, you'll feel the presence, and you will feel joy. You know, why not go around your life feeling joy? I asked a friend that works with my sister this morning, "How are you?" And he said, "Wonderful." And he's wearing his mask. He's being tested every week. He works at the office. He said, "Wonderful." And I said, "Wow, that's amazing. Why not be wonderful every day?"
I love that. Yeah. Wake up and feel wonderful, because I mean, there are moments we wake up and, I've got a bad hair day going on and I'm not feeling too good,
Or I got this terrible news, or you start to. I have this great prayer on page 61, that it's rekindle your enthusiasm, and it starts by saying, "Today is not just another day that piles on from yesterday. Today is a brand new day because I'm breathing, I'm alive, and I can tap into endless possibilities." And how grand is that? Just like the weather is never the same, things in nature are always changing, and everything is moving in the universe. I welcome this brand new day, and I ask that I may look at this day with brand new eyes, not assuming it will be like yesterday. And it goes on and on. But, again, you ask, help me release the fear. Help me find my strength. Help me find how valuable I am beyond my worries and my accomplishments. There are endless ways, and I encourage you, keep a journal, keep a pen by your side, and just let it pour out, because every heart has things that they want to be expressed, and the unexpressed must be expressed for us to feel a sense of freedom and joy and love and connection. If you're not expressing what's inside of you, you will feel bereft, you'll feel suffocated, you'll feel less than. And why not feel magnificent and wonderful like we are?
Yeah, like how we, really should show up in the world, not should, but deserve to be,
Exactly.
is really these loving beings. And, it's interesting because we've got so many people that have experienced loss and hopelessness, and they're in that fear. If they're having a hard time with deciding, like saying, well, I don't even know the words to say, I really felt your book offered people something that they could start with, because the prayers that you have in there, I felt were so powerful and so profound. I don't think anyone that if you pray or don't pray could, it benefits everybody.
That's right, darling. Exactly. Everybody. And you'll find your words. It's like, these are words that I gave to myself and to everyone. And then read them aloud. That's the other thing, because they have such sweetness and such potency and vibrancy, And it's like I read poetry out loud. So start wherever you find yourself. Start and embrace yourself wherever you are.
I know in your book you talk about, just kind of piggyback on what you were just saying, you talked about just sweetness of, doing nothing. And I love how your book talks about that. And I'd love for you to expand on that for our listeners.
Oh yes, it's the doing nothing, the art of doing. It's the art of doing nothing. I think it's called the sweetness of doing nothing. On page, let me see, chapter 4. Page 20. In music, there are always pauses. Have you ever watched in the animal kingdom when people are, we've gone into a safari, and you watch the animals pause and sleep and rest. It's extraordinary. So in life, there is this very powerful moments and times where you just pause. And in theater, I remember that in acting, the director sometimes would say, "You spoke too soon. There is a pregnant pause here." And there is something about the pausing that taps us into our creativity, taps us into our resources. And we're afraid to do nothing because we would feel empty. But indeed, if you realize that in your doing nothing, there is inspiration, there is insight, you can see things differently, you can find your creativity, or find your tenderness, your heart. You can hear your heartbeat, to be there, to be silent, and to just say, "Oh my God, my heart is pumping blood. That's making me alive. That's moving this body. How extraordinary is that?" And just say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And that to me has presence and power to just even from your heart say thank you,
Yeah. And a lot of times we don't even consider that. We're not in that space. We're like, okay, this is probably a place where we can find gratitude for our lives.
Exactly. And I say, here there's this beautiful phrase that I have, says, "I dream and I ask for the feeling of a lazy summer afternoon, lying in the grass, looking at the sky, seeing the clouds go by, listening to the birds, and wondering at the majesty of the trees who have been there before me and will be there long after I'm gone." Oh, and I ask myself, when was the last time I ever did that and felt the presence in the summer breeze, yielded to your touch? Why am I so consumed by constant doings and fixings in the management of my daily affairs? So much of that robs me of my joy and rest. I feel like I may miss this or that, or even more, that I will be forgotten and left behind if I do not catch up and participate in the human race. Help me believe that with the calm that comes with rest, I will arrive exactly where I need to be at the perfect time. So now I bring myself to you and I ask with all my heart, show me how to do nothing, how to be calm in the face of the hustle and the bustle of our world. Gift myself the grace of rest, knowing that the truth of who I am and the sweetness of my soul lies in that space of rest.
Oh, I love that. Oh my
That
goodness,
is
that's just amazing.
the sweetness of doing nothing, And again, I say, even as you and I were saying, this prayer, how to put the day to rest, one of my favorite prayers. When you go to sleep, my friends, disconnect from your day. Disconnect from your anxieties. Offer them. My niece always has these great sayings. She says, offer them to the divine and come present in your heart. And just say, I did the best I could with all that was on my plate. There were no catastrophes, no earthquakes, nothing that shook the earth except what happened in my mind. So now I let my mind rest and unravel and discard what didn't go my way. And I give myself permission to soften my heart and take in the good. All is well. What's left undone will be done tomorrow. I declare it a good day, a day that emerged with all its ups and downs. For any parts of myself that feel the judgments, longings, frustrations, fears, worries about those I love, and all the indecisions of my life, I lay them down to rest. I offer them to the higher light in me. Whatever is stuck, hurt, or unfulfilled, let it be dissolved in the grace of the night. In my dreams, show me, guide me, and instruct me on everything I need solutions for, and help me open the channel to receptivity so that I may receive my wisdom, my soulfulness, and my power to create the life I want for me and those I love. Show me in my dreams that I'm not alone, that I'm always guided. Let me put the day to rest and sleep in perfect harmony. So be it.
You know, in your book, that's one of my favorite prayers that you have, because especially now, I mean, so many of us, we've brought our work home. It used to be our place of sanctuary, you know, where we leave work at work. And so it seems like we're kind of, you know, constantly busy and not able to kind of put an end to the day.
Yes, exactly. And end of the day, and an end to what we thought we didn't do right, and the judgments and the pressures, and then let the day wash away from you. So when you rest, you really rest, and waking up, there's nothing more wonderful than waking up and feeling rested. So I want to leave you with my parting words, which is, remember, you're never alone. But in order to know that, tap into your inner resource. Start practicing. Maybe a lot of you already do, but if you do, share it with others. I think the way to heal the world is to know that the spirit in us is alive and well, and we can all overcome anything if we access it and let our spirit embrace us. And I have my favorite phrase, which I put tattoo on my forehead, which is, God is my partner. God is my partner.
That is, yeah, it really connects you personally. You know, you have this invested feeling in your heart when you say that. I really appreciate how you bring that forward.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you.
Mm-mm-mm. Well, I know in your book you talk about other forms that are possibly prayer. I mean, do you consider like meditation and mindfulness, maybe even yoga, like a prayer?
Absolutely. It's all, cooking can be prayer. Walking can be prayer. It's all like, how do you embrace it, and how is your intention and your perspective, you know? And to me, that's the most important thing, is how do you approach it, you know? And then everything can be prayer. Everything, really. That's what I really wanted to show everyone, you know, that it's in your approach.
Where do you see that people get stuck when it comes to prayer?
I think they think they need to be perfect, and they feel, you know, who am I to pray to whom, you know? And then you feel self-conscious. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where I think we fail, actually, you know, that we forget that we don't have to be perfect. We can just show up exactly how we are.
How we need to.
Exactly.
Well, my goodness, Agapi, I mean, we could spend all day here. I just love your book. I love your work. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community?
Well, the book you can buy it anywhere that books are sold. That you can listen, you can get it on Audible, of course, or iTunes, on audio if you like audio. You can follow me on Instagram, Agapi Sees. Wake Up the Joy of You is my website, and you can go there and find lots of videos and inspirations, and YouTube. You can follow me there too. And of course, my email, you can send me an email. I can send you some of the guided meditations, and share with me after you've had the book in your hands. I so appreciate when people read those prayers in their social media, in Facebook, and tag me. I love hearing other people read the prayers. People have been sending me, reading the prayers, telling me their favorite prayer, Send me a picture of you and the book on Instagram if you have Instagram. And let's have this conversation going. We can help and inspire other people. That's what the book is about. Send it out with my love. And I hope you get your copy today as you're listening to this. Trust me, you would love it. You'll be inspired. And you will feel that you have found a gateway to a deeper part of yourself. And I also encourage people to get a copy for one of their friends or their mother or somebody who's struggling, and let people know that this is out. I wrote it out of my most vulnerable, heartfelt, soulful place to share it with all of you.
We can definitely feel that. Well, Agapi, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you for everything that you do, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
It's been such an honor to spend this time with you, Agapi, and to talk about your new book, Speaking with Spirit, 52 Prayers to Guide, Inspire, and Uplift You. If you'd like to pick up a copy of Speaking in Spirit, it's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers. And if you don't see it on the shelf, ask for them to order it. And of course, support our indie bookstores. If you'd like to connect with Agapi, you can at wakeuptothejoyofyou.com for more information. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.